Hey guys, Marzengen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the Kale Dokkan Fest banner that will be releasing on Global tomorrow. I guess depending on your time zone, it could be later today. It comes out at 7 AM for me, or 7:30 AM for me, UK, which is like, what, 11:30 PM PST, and then 2:30 AM EST, I think, something like that. So yeah, late in the evening for you if you're in the US, early in the morning if you're in the UK or Europe. Other time zones, I'm not too sure, but the normal time that banners drop outside of weird things like the anniversary, right? Because the anniversary, the banners dropped a little bit earlier than usual. The EZAs dropped at like reset instead of the normal time. But this is the time that we usually expect banners and new events to come out during normal celebrations. So the Kale banner is an interesting one. As always with these videos, I'm going to give you my thoughts on whether you should summon or whether you should skip. Hence the title, of course. But as I always say in these videos, this advice is more geared towards people who are free to play or who just don't spend much money in the game, right? Because if you are someone who's a whale, or you're a collector, or even if you're just someone who maybe you really like Kale as a character or you really like the card, you're probably going to summon regardless of what I say in this video anyway. So obviously I'll be interested to know your thoughts down below if you are someone who is going to summon. But obviously this advice is more for people who are a little bit on the fence and don't really know whether they should summon or not. So one thing that I need to point out basically straight away, if we go over to this, shout out to my boy Proton who posted the details from the data download. We had all the stuff this morning from the Kale celebration, so all the card arts, the stickers, all that stuff. And we can confirm, as we expect with nowadays with pretty much most Dokkan festivals that come out on Global, is that we are confirmed to be getting Dokkan Festival tickets. Now the interesting thing about this is it seems there are summon tickets and the premium summon ticket. So in the past, when they've done both versions of the tickets, what this usually means is the normal Dokkan Festival tickets, you can buy packs of those. It will probably be 5 or 7 multiples in order to do multis that will be guaranteed SSR, but with nothing like extra special guaranteed. But then the premium ticket is going to be one that's potentially like the 20 unit multi. It might even just be the 7 unit multi, but the premium ones are usually the ones that will give a guaranteed featured at the end. So if you are someone who spends money on the game and you maybe want to try getting Kale but you don't want to use your stones, these tickets are definitely going to be a very good option, because like I say, the ones that are marked as premium usually come with some sort of guaranteed featured or something at the end. So if you are someone who spends money on the game, then obviously this is going to be something that could be worth your while. So going back to the actual Kale banner, so the two new units are the AGL Kale and the Tech Frost. I did a proper detailed breakdown of Kale yesterday in the video I did about the celebration, so I'm not going to go over it in full details here. You can check that video out, or obviously I guess you can pause it and just kind of read the details that are up on the screen. But Kale is pretty good, right? She's not just a Universe 6 character, even though her leader skill will give basically all of the Universe 6 characters who are in Universe Survivor Saga a full 200% leader skill. She also has transformation boost and then full power as the extra 30%. So there are a few solid units that are on that 200% that are outside of the Universe 6 sort of tight bracket, right? Because otherwise her team would be very restricted. There's a lot of good units you can fit on there, and even if they're not on full power, like transformation boost is a very strong category, so there's a lot of units that just get the 170 that you can use. You only really need to run one Universe 6 ally with her in order to get a lot of her potential. Obviously if you want to transform her as early as possible, you do need to run a Caulifla. But I have to say, right, regardless of what I say in this video about advice on whether to summon, it is more based around where we are in the calendar and things that are going to be coming out in the future, as opposed to a direct representation of Kale as a unit, because I think as a unit this Kale is very good. Now obviously she'll be better when we get another like Universe Survival Saga celebration. The Tech Caulifla and STR Kale are getting their EZA soon on JP, so obviously that means they're still a little while away on Global. There's some buffs that her team will get that will definitely make her significantly better, but she is a solid unit. The problem is, like I say, all the stuff that's coming out in the near future. And then when we look at her side banner unit, which is this Frost, he certainly did not get a good reception when he came out on JP, right? He raises attack and defense on super, but then he has a unit super with any ally whose name includes Freezer, Freezer soldier excluded. So basically any form of Freezer or Freezer and someone else. I guess King Cold would activate that as well, right? The Freezer and King Cold LR. Greatly raised attack and defense for 1 turn, and then seals supers and has a high chance to stun all on the unit super, which can be useful in some events, and the greatly raised is obviously good. And then he is a unit who gets basically most of his stats on super, which can be awkward for some of the more difficult events now with the AoEs. But he does boost transformation boost allies. He also gets additional attack and defense and chance to crit for allies who are in the Universe Survival Saga category. Has an additional that has a high chance to become a super. Lowers the enemy's attack for 2 turns when your team has another transformation boost ally in the same turn. And then he gets an additional 160 attack when the target is an attack down, defense down, stunned or sealed. So in the first phases of some of these big boss events, he can have some extra stats and useful abilities. But of course, once those status effects then become unavailable, he becomes much less effective. And he's only on 3 categories: Universe Survival Saga, Transformation Boost, and Universe 6. And then of course he has like Freezer Clan links. So he can't even link with the other Frost because they have the same name. Although I guess once he's awakened, the STR Frost is like the buff one, right? But yeah, bit of a weird card. I've seen some screenshots of him doing okay numbers, but he definitely is not great. I would imagine if you do decide to summon and you pull Kale, I would not chase getting copies of this unit, right? The side banner unit, when you consider Kale's kit, absolutely should have been a new Super Saiyan Caulifla, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. And then when we look at the rest of her banner, now the big thing that I know a lot of people are going to be interested and potentially hooked into doing maybe a summon or 2 is going to be the first return of physical Path to Power Kid Goku. Now, this guy, one of my biggest regrets in recent Dokkan summoning is that I only got 1 copy of this guy and then stopped summoning on his banner, because this guy has, his value has increased significantly when you want to run him on teams with, there's units like the 23rd World Tournament Goku. He's super good on his team. He works well with the LR Ultimate Gohan. They share a lot of links together. This guy is very, very good. And he's a Rainbow Orb Changer. As long as you're picking up 7 orbs, he gives everyone on the rotation 8% damage reduction, which doesn't sound like a lot. But for units that already have good defense, that can be the difference between taking like an extra 100k from a super or something. So very, very good. I will say at 55%, not as impressive. Like, he still does work for me, but he will die to like the big boss super attacks at only 55%. So one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to this banner coming is so that I can get extra copies of this Path to Power Kid Goku. I'm going to do a separate video about whether he's worth getting with coins, and I might include some clips of him at 55% so you guys can see what he's like. Even if I don't pull any copies of him from the banner, I probably will buy at least 2 copies with red coins so I can get him to 79% and get his hidden potential stuff unlocked. He definitely is a full dodge build character because you just want to run him in slot 3 and he's basically there to provide the damage reduction to the rotation. But I've had turns where he like double supers and gets up to like over 10 million attack on the right kind of turns. So he is very, very good. And then another unit that returns is the ROF Blues. I mean, these guys definitely did not get the treatment that we expected. I know a lot of people don't like Resurrection of F, but I think a lot of people were really excited for this unit to finally be in the game, and they definitely did not get the respect they deserve. I mean, they're not a terrible unit. They're a good leader for a Realm of Gods team that is based on full Pure Saiyans. But I mean, these guys, definitely not crazy. If you are missing out on them, it is an extra 200% team that could be useful for some events. If we get a new difficult event in the future that has a tech boss at the end, then obviously they could still be pretty good. The main problem is when you transform into Vegeta, he needs to pick up Rainbow Orbs to get his full kit, but he only creates Rainbow Orbs for 3 turns, which is unfortunate. But he is a pretty solid unit. And then looking at the older units, we have Tech Kale and Caulifla and STR Kefla. They're obviously on here to be the bolster for Kale for more Universe 6 units. Like on my JP, I didn't have really any of these units, and I pulled Kale and Tech Kale and Caulifla, so that would be pretty useful. These guys are a little bit outdated now, but they can still do some work in some of the harder events. They were always good against Broly, right, because they stack defense, and then he's AGL at the end. When you fuse into Kefla, you get a full heal. I think actually it might not be full, but the HP restriction, as long as you're not basically almost dead, you pretty much get a full heal. STR Kefla definitely a bit outdated now, but her Easy A could be coming at some point on the horizon, maybe early next year, we'll see. And then Captain Ginyu, I mean, the Ginyu Force team can still be very, very effective, right? So Ginyu still is a pretty solid unit. So looking at the banner, one thing we have to remember as well, this release is in the same time slot that Raditz released last year. This banner will probably have discounted multis. 3 multis is probably going to add up to what, either 100 or 110 stones when you factor in the discount on each step. And I would imagine, because they really want to go ham and get people to waste stones before the worldwide, I imagine the final step, the 3rd multi, will probably be guaranteed featured as well. Now, the true question, the point of the video, summon or skip, I genuinely think, even with the incentives that they're going to throw our way with these different tickets, potential discounts and guaranteed featured, I honestly do think this banner is a skip for the majority of the player base. Because remember, the worldwide celebration is going to start, the countdown for the worldwide, the beginning part of the celebration, literally starts in like 2 weeks or just under 2 weeks. And then the actual worldwide banners, I think last year dropped on the 28th. So that's just over 2 weeks from today. So the worldwide celebration last year, part 1 was the LR STR Final Form Cooler and the Carnival LR Super Saiyan Goku, fondly referred to as Birdku by most of the community. And they were basically in contention for being the 2 new best units in the game. So whilst Kale is very good, like I say, her team is alright, but mostly you're not going to be running it as like a full Universe 6 team, because a lot of the Universe 6 units are just not very good anymore. So it's going to be Kale, maybe with a Caulifla, especially after a few days after the banner comes out, when LR, Kale and Caulifla get their Easy A. And then the rest of the team is not really going to be a Universe 6 team anyway. So like, you absolutely do not need Kale. She is on God Goku's 200% leader skill because she's on Exploding Rage. She's on some strong teams, but obviously you kind of always want to have a Universe 6 ally with her, usually a Caulifla, right? So you can get access to her transformation as early as possible. So whilst this unit is good, I honestly think the best case scenario, if you're somebody that does kind of want Kale, is that when she comes back on another banner, it's just going to be one of those, like when she returns for the first time, hopefully it's on a banner where the new unit is really good, and then it's kind of like a double win for you, right? Because you're summoning for the new unit who is good, and potentially getting Kale, who is still a good unit, right? And I imagine by the time she returns on a banner, we are going to have the stuff like the Tech Caulifla and STR Kale Easy A. Maybe by then we already have the STR Kefla Easy A, and so then her team is going to be way better when she comes back later on. So she is a good unit, but you definitely don't need her. I don't think her, like, pulling her is probably not going to allow you to beat any teams, like any events that you haven't beaten yet, because even though she is good, it's not like her team is suddenly the best team in the game or anything like that, right? So I honestly do think you should skip. Now, if we do have discounts and guaranteed featured, it's probably going to be, what, like 110 stones, like I said, to do all 3 steps. The only way I would say that it's worth doing the discounts, because I mean, I'm a sucker for discounted multis, right? Discounted multis are always nice, but I would say you probably only want to do those if you are still going to be left with, I would say, at the bare minimum, at least 600 stones after you've done the discounts. Because remember, the worldwide download celebration banners are going to be like the anniversary, where it's 3+1, so you want 150 stones in order to get 4 multis. So if you have 600 stones, that allows you to do 4 3+1 rotations. I would honestly say, if you're free to play or you don't spend much on the game, if you have less than 600 stones, you should not touch this banner even for the discounts. If you have over 600, maybe if you have like over 1,000, maybe you could take a risk and try the discounts. But again, like, even if the last step is guaranteed featured, it doesn't mean you're going to get Kale. You might get Frost, and then imagine if you try summoning on this banner and you only get Frost. Like, that would just be such a massive waste of stones. So sadly, sorry Kale fans, like I said, she is a great unit, but like, this banner is not the best. Kid Goku's probably the best thing about the banner. Her team is not great, even though she is good. So unfortunately, the final verdict for this banner is skip. Like I said at the beginning, if you're a big whale or a collector or you're a massive Kale fan, you're probably going to summon regardless. But yeah, for most people, I would say this banner is an easy skip. Try the discounts if you have enough stones to spare for worldwide. Maybe you want to try and get a copy of Kid Goku. Otherwise, I think Kid Goku is a unit that is worth considering with red coins, but I will do a more detailed video on that and drop that tomorrow for when the banner comes out. So let me know what you guys think down below. Are you going to summon for Kale regardless of what I said? Let us know your reasons. Are you going to be skipping and saving all the stones for the worldwide? Let us know in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.